Hello everyone and welcome back to this new video. Today I will be fully cleaning the fans and heatsinks in my Lenovo Legion 5 without removing the cooler itself. You might have noticed that my laptop's cooling system is really dirty, and the amount of dust has gotten so bad that the fans have a hard time getting good airflow through the heatsinks, which is negatively impacting my performance. I have been wanting to clean the system by removing the whole cooling assembly and thoroughly cleaning out the dust. And with the cooling system removed, this would be a great opportunity to also replace the CPU and GPU for even better temperatures. However, I found out that most Legion laptops use a phase change thermal pad called Honeywell PTM7950. Which is more efficient than the thermal paste I have, and removing the cooling assembly would require me to refresh the thermal pad. This made removing the cooling assembly a bad idea, and so I decided to keep it attached to the motherboard while cleaning. First, I wanted to record the temperatures while using the laptop with the dirty fans. I recorded everything while the laptop was idling, then benchmarked the CPU using Cinebench R23. And lastly, played a game of Fortnite while recording using OBS. I not only recorded CPU temperatures, but also the temps of the GPU, SSDs and exhaust air. I also noted the usage and wattage of the CPU and GPU. For this, I used the programs CoreTemp, Hardware Monitor and Task Manager. Links to these programs are in the description. My current cooling system is this angled mount, originally designed for books, in which I cut two holes with a rotary tool. These holes give the fans a lot more space to draw fresh air from, and this alone got me about a 5-degree temperature drop. The stand also helps to keep the laptop screen higher, which makes it more ergonomically comfortable to use. Now, let's start opening the laptop. I did this before in multiple videos, so I'll mostly skip over this part. Once the laptop cover is loosened, it can be removed and put to the side. I also cleaned the fan mesh on there with a brush. The first thing to do when you start working on the laptop is to disconnect the battery, which was kinda tricky on this laptop, but I got it off eventually. The trick is to carefully pry it loose with a plastic pick, making sure to not damage the motherboard or the connector. You can see that the fans are really caked on with dust. And I'm sure there's also a lot in between the fans and the heatsinks. Removing the fans means removing the cooling system, which I won't be doing for reasons stated before. I started with brushing the dust on the fan blades loose, followed by some air out of my rocket blower. This blower is used to clean camera gear like lenses, and it's a really cheap way to get strong bursts of air without having to own an air compressor or those compressed air cans. Small electric blowers would work too. You can see that there's a lot of dust coming out of the fans, and I made sure to keep the fans from spinning too much, which could generate a voltage and damage the motherboard. After I've gotten most of the dust out of the fans, I blew the remaining dust from the motherboard and the laptop is ready to be closed up again. Make sure to not forget to reconnect the battery and then close up the laptop. Now I redid all the tests I did before cleaning and recorded the temperatures again. And here are the results. All the temperatures are in Celsius and I will put the Fahrenheit values on screen. The before temperatures of the CPU were 55 degrees on idle with 5 to 15% usage. While running the stress test on Cinebench, the CPU spiked to 98 degrees, after which the CPU thermal throttled to 70 degrees with a usage of 100% at 30 to 40 watts. I got 8317 points from that benchmark. Playing Fortnite also got the CPU to 98 degrees, followed by a steady 70 degrees on 60 to 70% usage with 30 to 40 watts. The GPU was at 65 degrees with a usage around 60% and 20 watts of consumption. The rear exhaust air temperature during Cinebench and Fortnite was about 50 degrees Celsius. After cleaning the fans, the temperatures dropped to 47 degrees on idle. The CPU still spiked to 98 degrees, followed by thermal throttling to 70 degrees during gaming and the Cinebench benchmark. But the wattage went up to 40 to 50 watts, which is a 29% increase. The Cinebench score also went from 8317 points to 9521 points, which is an increase of 14.5%. The internal temperature of the laptop, measured by both SSD's thermal sensors, went from around 45 degrees to 40 degrees. The fan speed didn't really change, but the sound of the flowing air did. I recorded the exhaust air sound using my shotgun microphone. Here's the before sound. And here's the sound after cleaning the lens. That's a noticeable difference. There's a lot more air getting through now. All in all, cleaning the fans has really made a difference. The temperatures and fan noise haven't changed dramatically, but the CPU is able to draw 10 more watts of power, which is a win in my book. The internal laptop temperature also has dropped around 5 degrees, which will slightly improve the laptop's longevity. I have written a nice report with all the temperatures and other measurements, which will be linked in the description along with links to the programs I used. Thank you very much for watching and I'll see you in the next video. where I may or may not be water cooling this laptop.